it's way easier just to be yourself. And it's like, if I'm myself all the time, then I don't have to ever put on an act. I don't ever have to, pretend to be something else to impress somebody. I'm just me.
Over pumping, you get to a certain point and the muscles just, it's like flat.
Yeah.
The way I find is I'll do a pec deck, say start, I'll do like a couple of presses, maybe 3 presses, and I'll go back to apply. When the fly's feeling like, when you're not
dead.
Traction.
I'm seeing.
Huh?
You're stuck there.
What do you mean?
Lads, because we use Riverside, when it's live, when it's on the YouTube, it's never frozen. You realise?
You froze there.
But we can't fucking hear him, Riz.
Yeah, that's no good because then we don't know what you fucking said.
Can you not hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You just froze. Can you hear me now?
Well, yeah, that's what we were saying on the podcast, me and Ryan. But yeah, it just gets counterproductive at that point, I think.
See, I've seen a couple of top guys say that you should keep pushing until the pump starts to fade, and I'm like, I that's a common thing to say, that I think, but my pump never fades. My legs just get like anything I train. I've never trained it to the point of being able to where I feel like my pump's getting worse. Because I'm a natural fatty, my body just does. Like, you know what?
I've definitely trained it to a point where the muscles becomes numb.
Yeah,
I can still move low, but like I don't feel it. Like the connection's not there anymore, you know.
But from when they're saying till the pump starts to fade or get worse, I don't think that ever happens. Like my legs just keep getting more and more and more painful, and even my chest or my arms pump up lately to the point where I can't fucking get my earphones out my ears.
Yeah.
Guys, I think we've got about 50 questions like on the one I put up. I know Dex got loads on as well.
Yeah.
Should we just do a show of fire then?
Yeah, we should maybe.
Judge, you go first, and then I'll go second. We're just taking turns.
But the thing is, it's like, look, I don't know if you can even see that, but like, there's like, we got about 50 odd questions. So, do you want to do like one each?
Yeah,
I reckon do them quick though. Try and do all of them. I reckon try and do all of them.
Yeah.
What's each of? I haven't even opened these questions. That's the first time opening them now. So, what's each of your biggest achievement in life? Doesn't have to be bodybuilding related. Mate, that's too much of a fucking question. I don't know. That's too.
I can go. I could say probably having Aralina. Would that count, my daughter? And then,
Of course.
Yeah, and then if you negate that, it would probably be getting a first class honours degree, because no way did I think I was getting fucking a first class, and I don't think no one else in my course thought I was getting a first class either. I was just hoping for a 2-1, so I was pretty fucking chuffed with that achievement, to be honest, because I didn't put the amount of work in that other people did. The very, very few that got a first to get theirs. You could see the looks on other people's faces when they were like, "Look at that slacking motherfucker over there. I'll be put out of the bag."
That's always better though.
Well, I'm just like, that's because I know what I'm talking about. When you are just geeks trying to put too much information.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for me. Pretty simple.
Penny's biggest achievement really is doing the fucking 20-gram slug off the Ibiza table.
Hell, fuck yeah.
biggest achievement in terms of the session is staying awake for 4 days straight, I think. Maybe even 5. But I didn't think we were covering that sort of achievement.
I've definitely done like a 2-foot line before of a wooden table for banner. Like, I'm not joking. This long.
Yeah, I've seen us set at a party. Well, I've seen us set at a party for with enough to make lines that you couldn't get on a table on a food mat.
Yeah.
In my younger years,
My biggest
I've
achievement
never
is
even touched
definitely...
anything like that. I've never done a pill. Never done anything like that.
That's
Same.
mad.
yeah, did you see? Did I send you the thing Jordan put in his journal? Someone asked him on Train by JP how often he drank over the years. So he sent me it laughing. So he went through each year, putting when he drank, and he's put like 2000 and something cocaine in brackets, Billy's fault. 2000 and something cocaine, Billy's fault. 2000, like, mate, I'm proud of us. At least I made you have some fun once in a Blue Moon, kid.
I find
It's
it
mad
fascinating. Like,
How he remembers them.
Riz in Chaz haven't done that. Like, I don't know if it's like where I grew up or whatever, but I can't imagine not being around that. Like I was from like a child, like literally a child, like everyone's smoking weed or selling weed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't associate with anybody that doesn't do it. I don't know, like, and I went to a private school, and everybody I still talk to from private school did it. Everybody, like, whether it's businessmen, whether it's clients in different countries, there's very few people I know that don't. To be honest, I could do a finding a bird eventually that doesn't do it for a nice change.
I'll tell you what, for me, I've got a really addictive personality. So that's the main thing that's always put me off. Because I'm like, if I get addicted to that shit, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Do you know what's
I agree with
fascinating?
Judge.
I've got a really addictive personality, but drugs never scared me. It's gambling that terrifies me. I
Oh,
love
gambling.
Oh,
Nasty
that
one.
cool bit of the horse racing, but that's like the only thing that terrifies me with like having an addictive personality because I've seen what it can do to people firsthand
Yeah.
and how quickly it happens.
See, I've always been too sensible with anything like that. I mean, like, I used to go to the casino and prep a lot when I was younger, and I'd be like, right, if I went out with the lads tonight, I'd spend 150 quid. Can't go out and drink. I get free Diet Cokes in the casino, so I'll go to the casino with the 150 quid. And this makes more sense to me, because when I go out with the lads, there's no chance of me coming home with any money. I'll probably spend more. At least I've got a chance of winning. But I would, once the 150 was gone, I would just leave.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, even with drugs, I've seen me go out with the lads and I'm like, right, no one's touching out because we're pissed and we need it. Like, even that side, I've always been a bit of a geek and sensible with stuff. And sometimes I think it's held me back a little bit, but then I think back and it really hasn't.
I've
And
had
that's
some
fine.
wicked
If you
nights
know
out
that you
in
can be
casino.
like that, that's fine. I know I can't. Like, the other week we went out.
Yeah.
When we went out, we spent like 300 quid that night just on fucking alcohol. You know, I can't be like that. So for me, I just try and avoid it, you know?
Yeah.
That's a bit like me when I go to Tesco's on a cheat day. Fucking hell. They put the chocolates in. Put the Toblerone in. Put
Bro,
it in.
why are you lying? You're in Iceland in the fucking Greg section. That's where you're at, man. You look at the fucking tuna crunches, sausage, cheese, and me melts.
Let's go on the whoopsie aisle.
I'll tell you what, lads.
Right,
This is
shall
the
we
best
move
my
on?
appetite. Now, do your achievement, Chudley.
Bro, I don't know. I need a bit of time to think about that.
Mine would definitely be not going to jail, because that was definitely a sure bet when I was a child, that's for sure.
That's
And then obviously honey. Very new, but that's the thing I'm most proud of in this entire planet, for sure.
I've only ever been arrested once. That's probably a huge achievement, thinking about it, to be fair. That was only
Good going, mate.
That's pretty good going, man.
Man, I'm the only dude that would get arrested for urinating on a copper where I was just so drunk I was pissing on the wall. He told me to stop. I turned around, pissed on him. He put me in the back of the van with my cock out. Wait, guess what's in there? So that was going to be for drunken disorder. Whilst that happened, I then was going to get charged for theft whilst being arrested. So you know they book you in and they have these like electric scanners where you sign your like name. I was just bollocks and I was so drunk. I was pickled up in that. I thought it would be funny to unplug the autograph machine and steal it whilst I was signing it. So I signed it. I unplugged it. I nicked it. They took me to my cell. And all I heard was, "You little bastard." I was like, oh, no, they fucking know. And the dude just goes marching down. He's like, "Mate, you're getting charged for theft. You can't steal from a policeman."
Fucking get him.
I'm sorry, mate. I'm really sorry. But yeah. Riz, what's your biggest achievement?
Marrying that dickhead downstairs.
Hey, don't talk about her like that.
I give it to her. She's alright. These are alright. Well, listen, a lot of people don't know. So I was telling Martin the other day. I goes, "Martin, I'm going on holiday, mate." He was like, "Oh, where you going?" He was like, "Oh, nice." I goes, "Mate, you know it's only my second holiday with my wife, isn't it?" He was like, "What, really?" I goes, "Yeah, mate. It took us like 9 years to get married, bro. Do you know what I mean?" That was a big achievement.
Yeah,
But I remember when Hilly was first coaching me, he was like, "What's wrong?" I tried to explain to me, he goes, "What do you mean you can't be with her?" I remember just telling him, he was like, "Oh, one of them family situations."
Yeah, one of those.
And he was like, "I know what you mean," because obviously in his, you know what I mean, he knew the situation.
So it wasn't an arranged marriage.
Do you know what? Technically it was, because, bro, before I even proposed to Dee, right, her dad came to my mum and dad's house. My mum goes, "Look, let them get married, because if you don't, they're going to just run off and get married anyway. So either you just get the fuck on with it." And then her dad was like, "Well, are you like cool with it?" And I was like, "Yeah." My dad was like, "Cool." And then I proposed to her afterwards. So I guess it was arranged.
She is a top bird, though, mate. She's a top bird.
D's been alright recently. D's been alright.
Cool. Shall I do a question next, Chuds?
Yeah, do.
One from JJ Richards. I believe this is the Muscle Shed guy.
Yes.
He said, thoughts on being a pro in one federation and then competing as an amateur in another.
There's only one real pro card.
If you're competing in pure elite and you're a pro, and then you go and compete in the PCA, I think obviously that if you're downgrading, then that's not good. Like, say if you're an IFBB pro and then you go compete in PCA, that's a bit shit, isn't it?
I suppose you haven't got. Yeah, because you don't see that, but we did. We saw it with James Llewellyn, didn't we? Like he did do that, but ultimately, yeah. But ultimately, if you're a pro in say GBO, FMA, or one of those, you have to compete as an amateur elsewhere. Like, you ain't got a choice. Just you got a pro card now, it doesn't mean you can rock them to an IFBB pro, can you? So
having a pro card there is almost like fucking.
But you can look at the IFBB elite, right? So many of them guys are jumping into the IFB to the NPC. You know, yeah, you're a pro in that federation, but obviously, if you want to compete elsewhere, you still got to earn it there, don't you? So,
I took this question as if you've got pro card anywhere, should you really then morally be competing with amateurs? Because, and actually, if you think about it logically, then my train of thought would be: listen, if you accept the pro card anywhere, and you were putting pro in your fucking name, and you were pretending to people you were a professional bodybuilder, when in theory you're really not, you then shouldn't really want to go and compete with amateurs, should you?
Yeah.
That would be my thought. I think,
yeah.
The fact of the matter is, like, in that sense, the other pro cards don't really matter. But I just think if you want to call yourself a professional athlete and you want to put it in your Instagram, then really you should only compete against pros where you can. So then you'd have to stay in your federation. I don't think you should be able to give your IFBB pro card back and then go and compete as an amateur. I don't approve of that at all. I just think, listen, if you've been to a pro level, you've competed at that top level, to come back and then start clearing up at amateur shows is a bit shitty for me, personally. And I know people have got the reasons and whatnot, but it just, I don't think that for one is fair on the amateurs that you compete against, and I don't think it really makes you look very good, personally. But
I think it all comes down to one thing, yeah. The real pro, this is no knock on anyone, right? This is why I say time and time again, there's only one real pro card, yeah? That is the IFBB one. Ryan Mackin said on his podcast himself, he goes, I got the PCA pro card, but it didn't feel all that. He goes, it's not like getting the IFBB one.
Of course it's not. Everybody knows that's the only main one.
But why is it? Like think about, yes, there is the Olympia, and that's kind of the route that everyone's going down to. But realistically, that is the upper echelon of the sport. That is the 1 percentile of all bodybuilders. Now, if you think, let's take Ryan Mack as an example. Let's say he's a pro in PCA. If you're doing this from a financial standpoint, you're better off just competing in PCA. You actually earn some fucking coin in those pro shows. It's the same as the FMA. Like it's not a lot, 250, 500 quid, but they're handing money up for winning those pro shows. So like, ultimately, who would be better off? That mad guy who comes in pills all the time and cleans out the PCA, he's probably done about $5,000 in the past 5 years, or the people who do the pro shows in never place in IFBB.
For me, the way I see it is the IFBB is the only one that had sanctioned judges, sanctioned shows all over the world. So I think in terms of actually classing yourself as a professional athlete, and that would say, I will class someone with an IFBB pro card as much of a professional athlete as a professional football player, and yada, 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 because they are being judged by, and they were awarded that pro card technically by sanctioned judges when everything is above board. Whereas in reality, PCA and other ones, their own judges mark and other judges, and that doesn't take anything away from it. But I just think if you are being focusing on the actual professional side of it, then that's the only way you can get a professional pro card. But I agree with you, Dad. I think for a lot of people, you can make a lot of money competing in PCA, which is a fantastic federation. I just think in terms of actually what is classed as a pro, to be given a pro card in a federation where you're a judge or whether you're the coaches or your coach's mate. That's not how you become a professional athlete. I'm sorry. You go and where you gold medals or whatnot. professional athletes become at those status by whatever ways. That's just the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah,
That's
no, I
how
agree.
I get the difference.
Yeah.
Next question.
If we weren't coaching, what would we be doing? Fuck knows.
Be doing a design job, mate, and earning some proper dollar.
I'm still an insurance badass.
I'd probably be doing sports therapy or something. So my degree's in therapy and nutrition, so that and hustling, shall we say.
What would you be doing, Judge?
End of the day, like, right, for all of us, well, not all of us, like Hilly, obviously, coaching is your main thing, but all of it, like, well, Riz, I suppose, as well. Like, we've all got, like, other shit that makes us money aside of bodybuilding, right? It's not like just the coaching side. Like, I think, and that goes for most coaches. Like, anyone that says that all they do is just coaching, they don't. Like, if you make enough money from coaching, you then transfer that into property or something else. So, you're not. That's never your just main income.
Yeah, very, very good point, Judge. Very good point.
The funny thing is, I think I was saying this to us the other day. Like, for me, I never actually wanted to be a coach. Like, when I started doing this, there was no social media, there was no Instagram. So I was doing my sports therapy work. I was working within nutrition for the NHS with people with mental health. People just kept asking me. So I think for me, I would have always ended up doing something like this or doing this alongside my other stuff. It just ended up spiraling to the point where there wasn't a feasible amount of time. If the ward I worked on for the NHS with the kids, like my job there was going and doing, creating meal plans for them, working with them to try and get them back to eating because they had eating disorders, taking them out. I loved that job. I didn't need the money at all. I'd still be doing that now if the ward had stayed open. But like exactly what you said, at one point I was doing coaching, I was doing sports therapy work, I was the sports therapist at a rugby club, and I was at the NHS, and then doing what else around that, So I think most people are doing other things.
Yeah, and even to the point, like, if my career keeps progressing and I set something up myself in insurance and run my own business, like, coaching would take the step back. Coaching's never going to be the primary at any point. Like, whatever anyone wants to say, I understand people make lots of money, but it's a flaky industry. It's extremely saturated at the moment. It's kind of quite volatile to a degree. Like, it takes you to kill one client to die as of a heart attack. Could be no fault of your own. Pre-existing problems, that's your reputation tarnished. So, like, I say this to a lot of the young kids at the gyms. They're pumping every penny they've got from their waitering jobs into content and coaching and that sort of stuff. It's like, as much as that's great, like, you need to have something to fall back on. You need, like, something or some stability in your life. Even for mortgages, do you know how difficult it is for someone to get a mortgage where they can't prove what their consistent income is? Half the fuckers aren't paying taxes to what they're actually earning. They're paying themselves a minimum wage. Like, when you get to that point, you apply for a mortgage, you're fucked. So, like, it's as much as it's great, and there's some coaches I know, I can reel off 5 names that are extremely successful and wealthy from coaching. Hilly's one of them. But that's again like the Olympia conversation. That's the top 1 percentile. It's not everybody.
And the other thing is, and I say this, I've said this to Riz when he first wanted to switch full time. For me, I've always made sure that I split my workload. So I have 33% bodybuilders, competitive athletes, 33% lifestyle, and then 33% are health issues, whether it's people with cancer or diabetes, or because for one, and very much what DECCA says, bodybuilders are fickle and they like to switch coaches, which we've all switched coaches. That's not saying that that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying it means that you're
not me, Hilly. I'm loyal, just to let you know.
But it means that your long-term stuff is, your long-term clients are very unlikely to be long-term. I am very, very blessed in the sense of, I think at least half my clients are long-term clients. Riz and DECCA are both examples of that. And that puts me in a very lucky situation, because I can tell you what, I bet you there is a handful of other coaches that might have those long-term clients. But then I also have clients that work with me from ailments to illnesses. Then I have businessmen. And I think that my aim is always to keep it like that. So as I age and as I differentiate what I enjoy doing and what fields I come in and out of, my workload and my work capabilities should never dip, because I have a varying stream of income from different fields and different areas. And when people do consults with me wanting to know more about coaching, they're like, I just want to work with bodybuilders. I'm like, you really don't. For one,
you don't, mate.
The amount of coaching time it takes for a competitive bodybuilder is way more than lifestyle. Sometimes it can be not enjoyable. And then sometimes if a bodybuilder doesn't get the result they want, they have no issue, no matter how much effort you put in, and the result wasn't even your fault. They will happily drop you in fucking as if you're not there and switch before you know. And again, it doesn't happen to me very often at all, and I'm very lucky and blessed. But how often do we see clients change coaches 1 week after a show, 2 weeks before the next show? They're all jumping at all levels, left, right, and centre. And like Dex says, it's not a very consistent stream of income for a lot of people.
I think a lot of people need to understand, right? Most people, like, I can sit here with a confidence and say I never wanted to be a coach. I spoke to Hilly about it like 3 years ago. He was like, bro, listen, he goes, keep your job and do the coaching on the side. I only got into this because Dee was ill. And then it naturally picked up. I didn't have to force it or DM anyone like some coaches do. I won't say their names.
That is the worst thing with the fucking poachers. I hate those fans.
There's nothing. Do you know what it is? I can hand on my heart say I have never once, ever in 13, 14 years of doing this, approached someone in the gym or messaged someone and said that they should let me coach them or I should coach them. Or I just think lots of my clients have been, and I think it's quite sad actually. It's like these business fucking guys now. I'll follow a business guy or someone into something, and I get a DM straight away. I think, mate, I ain't going to hire you. If you've got to fucking try and poach business, if you've got to message me for business, I don't think you're good at your fucking job, kid.
Yeah.
And they all do that stupid admin assistant thing, don't they, where it's like a fucking robot and it's so obvious. It's like, why am I ever going to come and be coached by you and you can't even bother to talk to me yourself?
It's like, I always say, yeah, these coaching guys are like, oh yeah, bro, I had a business that used to turn over £5 million a year when I was a coach. Well, why still you a coach, you dickhead?
Yeah.
You ain't got no fucking... Because if you were that good, you wouldn't want to share that, bro. Do you know what I mean? If I had the secret formula for muscle growth, do you think I'm going to tell you, man?
It's like those guys on social media videos. They're like, this is how you get followers. And this like video's got like 100 views and like 4 likes. And you're like, well, clearly that's not fucking working for you. So... But
it was like, remember when we went through the period of the £20,000 revenue glass trophies that every fucking idiot was posting? Mate, if you were doing 20 grand a month, you wouldn't be living in a 1-bedroom flat with a rented car or still at home with your parents. Like, stop bullshit. That's really stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think a lot of people are very deluded. That's the problem. Do you know what I mean? They're deluded, bro. Like to be honest, if my coaching would stop, my brand, my engineered muscle brand would carry me anyway. The accounting probably makes more money than my coaching now anyway. Yeah. That's one product.
I also think as well, like I really enjoy, like I feel like if I was full-time in coaching, that would remove my ability to boot people off my team that are doing my head in. And like at the moment, like it's an enjoyable part of me. Like it's a hobby. I enjoy, like when Hilly just said then, I would take 50 female clients who are coming from any background that want to get on stage for the first time, rather than 50 male bodybuilders who want to be in the Olympia. 100% of the time. They're less work, they're grafters, they're willing to work, they're not full of their ego. Like they just understand how to follow instructions and they do that and you get a check-in on time every week. If I was to do this for my full time, I would have to almost nurture those people that are paying the ass rather than say, look, mate, you're more effort than it's actually worth here. Go and find somebody else.
Mate, this is on what you say, because I like last year when I had like a lot more clients, it was like 50 clients, 60 clients. Like you kind of have to babysit those people. Whereas now, like I just as soon as it doesn't suit me, I just get rid of them. You know, it's and that is just so much easier. It makes your life so much easier.
I need to get better at that because I've been doing. It's a negative on my part, but like I call it like reciprocation. Like, you know, when someone gives you 20% effort, so you give them 20% back.
Yeah.
I've like fallen into that pattern with like a few individuals, especially like people are like my pals, like friends, you know, that I'm helping out. It's like they'll miss 4 check-ins, so they send me a check-in, then I get back to them maybe always the same day, but say 9 p.m. rather than 9:30 in the morning. I think I just need to be a bit harder and said, look, this just ain't working. You ain't checked in for a week. Go and get a proper coach. I think you need the accountability.
This is what I mean.
I've stopped working with friends really, just because you give people something for a discount, then they don't. It's a psychological thing I've come to learn over the last few years. If someone gets something cheap from a friend, then they, when it comes to the nitty gritty parts, they're like, well, I didn't pay for a full price anymore. You know, it's only such and such. And it just becomes a waste of my time. It's a waste of their time. And even though they got it cheaper than what it should be, it's still a waste of their money. When actually
they don't value it. They don't value the fucking time.
Yeah, and that pisses me off because a lot of those people need it. Like they need that clarity in their life or something to work towards, away from the sesh or away from their miserable home. Like they need that bit of guidance, like some bit of structure in their life. But
look at this here. This kid here, right? This kid messaged me a couple of weeks ago. I was telling you, he's got 1 million followers, right? Messaged me out the blue. Fucking, how's business, bro? Are you making 10 or 20 grand? What platform do you use? I was like, mate, if I needed help with business, I'd message someone, mate. Like, why are you fucking messaging me, you crank? Or are you not wanting to scale up? No, but otherwise I'd be advertising for clients, but I don't advertise for clients. Fucking Josh Mooney or something he's called, 1 million
oh,
fans.
mate, he's had me and those pair of pricks,
Fucking
those twins with the
like,
tattoos.
I was like, mate, are you
Twins.
stupid or something? I was like, I don't. Like, who just messaged you like that? You got 1 million followers. Surely you don't need business.
What's mental is that AI is becoming so advanced. Like that's a robot talking to you now. That's an admin assistant. But like Christian Chapman posted the other day.
I thought that, so I was playing with it, but then he starts having a full-on conversation.
Yeah, but it is. Yeah, I'm sure it's like AI.
It's
They
AI.
even said to Christian, he posted on his story, like it has the ability to look at his picture and go, "Oh, mate, that's an awesome car." Like it's becoming quite sophisticated, where it can look at your pictures, take the data from it, and go, "Oh, this is what you need to talk about," you know?
Fucking nuts.
But I honestly think, yeah, like I was saying to Hilly the other day, I goes, mate, I've got a lot more female clients than I did last year, and the female clients check in, yeah, and it's just amazing how the female client checks in on time. The check-in's perfect. They just tell you exactly what's wrong, what's bang on, what's not, and they make progress.
Mate, Ryan doesn't get that. I've been trying to tell him the entire time. I'm like, mate, females, majority of my clients are female, and they're so much easier to work with. He's like, nah, no, they're not. I'm like,
I'm going to start marketing towards them. Serious. I actually go, and especially like after that shindig I just did recently with Caroline, I competed last weekend. Like the whole process from start to finish was just a pleasure. Like I was excited to get her check in. She was excited to check in. Like we spoke all the time. None of the questions were redundant, or she just wanted attention. Like she just had a goal and she wanted to work towards it. You know.
She looked brilliant, by the way.
Bro, that was a fucking mockery. That decision. Did you see the girl who won?
Yeah, I can't hear definitely talking. Can you use?
Hey?
What? I couldn't hear Chugley there while he was talking. Could you use?
Yeah, I could.
Can
you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Oh, okay. Should we move on, because we've got like
sorry, God.
Is it me, is it? What's everyone do for a living currently and or previously before coaching? It's another like
I run an insurance broker.
I think I just covered that in my last question.
Yeah, I was a full-time design engineer for a company that I was doing.
You kids?
What is it? What previous, mate? To be fair, because I'm only 26, right? So I pretty much got into like the whole coaching thing when I was like 18. So I went to uni, and then obviously after that, it was more. It just picked up from there. That's why I dropped out at uni, because I basically just started coaching.
What did you do at uni, Chad? Just out of curiosity.
Economics. Yeah. So that's pretty much that's been pretty much it. And like now it's just obviously all the coaching and all the other stuff that I do. But to be fair, like right now, I could stop coaching. I don't need to coach anymore. Like, because all my money is like majority. I just make it on social media. It's fucking stupid. Like I don't have to coach if I didn't want to. I just do it because I want to. But
exactly.
I probably will always to some extent, because it's just what we do, right? But yeah.
So next question, Deck.
I've got the next one, by the way. Next one's a good one.
In general, for all four of you, how are your diets set up? Do you like added fats on high days, training versus rest days, higher carbs, lower carbs, higher protein, lower carbs? And I think they kind of just want for each of us kind of how we do it.
What, as in, what's our current diet setup, or what we do for
clients? Yeah, kind of. So I think it'd be easy to just go around the room to a degree and just be like, look, do you have is your macros consistent throughout the week? Are you higher protein, lower protein? Do you have higher fats, no fats? Do you have high days, low days, that sort of stuff?
Cool.
All right.
Go on then,
right, Rick's going fast.
Right now, my calories are on 4,000. Carbs in every single meal. I'll get the exact breakdown up if people are that bothered.
Yeah, dude, they love all that, the nerds. No offense, nerds. Like and subscribe.
I get it up. This is actually the first year I'm running carbs in every single meal. I'm actually normally it's not something that I like. Hilly knows I used to always like protein and fat, but it's working, so I'm not gonna grumble about it.
Do you have a training day, a rest day diet, or what do you do?
I'm just
kidding. We don't eat not meal by meal.
So no, I'm not. I'm telling you the macros, bro. So on my training day is 4,000 calories, 330 grams of protein, 537 carb, 70 grams of fat. And my non-training day is same amount of protein, 100 gram or less carbs, and 76 grams of fat. I run the exact same diet plan every day. The only difference is on rest day, there's no intra. So I lose 40 gram of carb, and then there's no post-workout off the cereal. I have oats instead. But it is pretty basic, to be honest. Nothing fancy.
So I do a training day diet, rest day diet, fairly low carbs throughout, low fat throughout. Sorry, we put fat sort of pre and post workout in meal one.
What is low? What is low? Specify.
Around 40 to 60 gram of fat a day. Carbs are around 250. High days are around 1,000. So we run a high day once a week, or maybe two, with an off-plan meal on a Friday. What that does obviously fills us out. It gives me 3 back-to-back phenomenal sessions, which are normally obviously a push day, a pull day, and a leg day. And then the rest of the week I run it in quite a heavy deficit at the moment. Cardio is at 40 minutes. Steps around 10 to 15K. But yeah, because he specifically mentioned fats as well. I'm not a fan of higher fats. It's specific on my high day. Me and Hilly have tried it. It just makes me feel very sluggish. And I even notice it. The fats that I use, specifically on like nut butter and stuff, it seems to really fuck my stomach a little bit. And I've got a pretty iron stomach, so we have a small amount, 5 to 10 grams of oils in some of the rice meals. But that's about it, really. So yeah, we run the high day on a Friday. Off plan on the Friday. High day Saturday and Sunday, and then flatten off throughout the week. And it seems to be working at the moment. I've kept a lot of fullness, and performance is really, really good. To the point I'm still taking PBs and hammering fat off at the moment, which is bonkers to me.
Perfect.
Especially for how lean I am. Normally, especially in prep, I've got to this point before. I've definitely started losing strength at this point for sure.
Okay,
well. Go on, Chuds.
Yeah, go on, Chuds. You're chilling at the moment. What are you doing?
Well, usually what Dex said is pretty much exactly what I do. I like lower fats. I think people that are heavier typically would prefer that, because it's just, if you're heavier, you're going to eat more. So if you're going to eat more, the volume of food is higher. So if you're going to eat, like, let's say if you're someone that weighs 180 pounds, it's probably going to have, 70 grams of oats. If you're someone that weighs 240, 250, you're probably eating 120, 150 grams of oats. So by adding more fat to that, it's just more volume or more bulk. So I think for me, fats, 30 to 50 grams, across the year, I'm always maybe slightly higher on a rest day, but typically I keep my fats low, all the time. And I don't enjoy fats as much anyway. I don't like salmon or avocado, shit like that. Nah, I'm not like that. See, I don't like eggs. So I'd rather eat carbs.
I love fucking eggs, bro.
Huh?
I love eggs. I can't eat eggs no
more. Not every day though. I go for a period of liking eggs, but generally eggs are not my favorite. I don't really enjoy fats as it is, so I keep my fats lower. One off-plan meal a week, and that's normally what I've always done. So pretty much what Dex said, to be fair.
Yeah. What about you, Hilly? Yours is probably a little bit different to ours, isn't it?
Yeah. Rice.
To be honest, mine's not how I would set it up for myself. But I'm very much just AJ says jump and I say how high. So mine's very high in protein, has been since I went with AJ, between 400 and 500 grams a day, which I am very settled at. I eat 200 to 220 grams of cooked meat per meal. Meal 1 and meal 6 are 400 grams of egg whites, which is the equivalent of about 10 to 12 egg whites, and then 2 whole eggs on top. So I'm putting away at least 25 eggs a day, and I have been all year. Again, I wouldn't choose to have that many at all, but AJ says, so I do. At the moment, rice portions have been pulled down because I'm doing a bit of a mini cut. So I am 220 grams in one meal and then 200 in another 2 grams. So I think at the moment I'm about 400-ish grams of carbs, 450-ish grams of protein, and fats are probably around 50 or 60. Rest days, I have 75 grams of oats and an apple, and then 4 meals of 190 or 190, I think, grams of rice cooked. And then the last meals are with sourdough. So I have 2 slices of sourdough on a training day and 1 slice, and that seems to be working fine. I have come to see that you can adapt to anything as long as you're willing to suffer through it. So initially, having 455 grams of protein was not fun.
Is that straight? Is that 450 protein, for example, straight from meat, or are you counting the trace ones?
I think 400 straight from meat. So I'm getting so if you think on a morning I have 400 grams of egg whites, which I think is 45, 48 grams of protein. Then 2 whole eggs is another 12. So I'm at 60 grams with meal 1. And then the other 5 meals are all 60 to 75 grams of protein. So straight away I'm 60, 120, 180, 360.
350.
So
Yeah,
that's basically what mine is, isn't it, Hilly? Because we sit around 65, 70 per meal. So mine's 360.
So I'm 360 or 370 there. And then I have probably another 20 or 30 on top from protein powders or whatnot. So I think it's about just under 400 direct. But when I put it in my fitness pal, it obviously includes them all, and it usually says about 450. And that, again, it's very similar to what I would do in the sense of training day, rest day. I do prefer always carbs higher on a training day, lower. I'm never big again, like everybody else, funnily enough, on having fats too high. I have taken them upwards of 100 before. It doesn't sit well with my digestion, and I just don't feel as good.
What did you say again? What was that number?
I've taken them up over 100 before, but it never feels good. My digestion doesn't sit well. I don't feel as well energy-wise, brain, mental alertness. I always feel best sort of between 30 and 80, so if I'm dieting, I can get away with a lower amount. And if I'm obviously in off-season, 60, 70-ish, 80 tends to be where I'm all right. But most of my fats are always coming from oils or whole foods. Because as Deck says, doesn't matter what nut butter I put into a meal, I feel it in my gut, always.
This year, because obviously, I don't know if I told you, how many meals do you lot have a day?
6.
Chuds?
6.
Because I've always had 6, right? And this last prep, I went to Martin and go, listen, mate, put me on 5 meals. I've not got time to eat. So the off season's 5 meals as well. So I'm able to space the meals way more. And it's the best my stomach's ever been. Obviously, I'm eating more protein per meal. But my digestion's in such a good fucking place. And obviously, my meal 1's high in fat and my meal 6 is high in fat. The rest of them are pretty much protein and carb. But I find this way, this is the best I've ever felt. And my fat's quite high for me. It's at 80 grams pretty much.
The higher fats are kind of counterproductive. We're trying to optimize the human body, and we want to shuttle those carbs into the muscle, and obviously manage blood glucose in line with training. The whole point of adding fats, you're just slowing that process down. Is we want to optimize our body as a machine. We want to put the carbs in, process them. Carbs in, process them. You want your blood glucose spiking and coming back down. Postprandial, ready to eat more carbohydrates. If you're putting fats in every meal, you're just slowing that process down. It's never made sense to me. I get peak week. Loading triglycerides, I get that fully. So you're trying to slow that process down. Me and Hilly ramped for my last off-plan meal. We went bananas on the fats to try it because the last high I did, I gained about 4 pounds, but literally the next day I lost 5. It was one day and I lost 5 pounds. So we put a stupidly heavy fats meal in, which was mac and cheese, a ribeye steak, and some chips and stuff, and it stuck. I was up about 8 or 9 pounds in the end. But in the kind of standard terms of just your standard 6 meals a day, without trying to refeed or maintain muscle, I just don't really understand the benefits of adding fats. 60 grams is enough for hormonal health. I don't see why you need any more.
You see, but bro, normally I would fully agree saying the low fats is better, right? But mate, I've never eaten 4,000 calories with this sort of ease ever in my life. And bro, the food is going down. Literally, mate, like I'm a week out from a show.
You've got to remember, you are a week out of a show. You are 2-3 weeks out.
You are for sure, which helps.
Do you know what I mean? We're not, bro. True.
Mate. Where you're at 4 months, because that's kind of, it's as you get to the heavier part of the off season, that's where you look at your oil, your nut butter, and you're get that shit away from me.
I think the other thing is, I actually think if you want to really geekify it, there'll be something to do with your insulin sensitivity and the efficiency of your digestion. When you come out of prep, you are super insulin sensitive. Your metabolism is running at a higher rate. There's no doubt about that. So your ability to push through things will be better than once your body is getting more overall food in it, it starts to clog back up. Because I think the other thing is, and this is just sort of bro science, I suppose, when you've gone through prep, your digestive system will have likely cleared out a lot because you're not putting as much roughage, as much food through it. Like if anybody's ever been for chronic, there's way more shit up there than you would ever imagine. But I think likely after a prep, because there's been less food going through over time, your pipes and everything probably become more cleaned out, more effective, your whole gastrointestinal tract. But then I imagine after months of eating higher foods, that efficiency starts to slow down a bit. Foods will then end up becoming a bit more difficult. Like I just know where I'm at now. At 6 weeks post-show, I could put anything in and I was flying through it. And although now it's still good, it isn't good as that. And I imagine that's probably why people feel as if they can't be full after a show, because the body is running so optimally and so overactive and efficiently. And that overactiveness definitely will affect your bowel movements, the rate of gastric emptying and all sorts. And I imagine that will change as your body slows down a bit.
I think because, you know, with my body, my body passes food very quick, yeah? So I think that having the 5 meals and the slightly higher fat morning and night,
we've discussed that, yeah.
It's almost slowing me down, making me normal.
Yes.
Which for me is nice.
Whereas for me, I have slow gastric transit. So if I have anything that's higher in fibre, or if I eat too much at one time, like if I go out for a Sunday dinner, I am in trouble for the rest of the day. Yeah. Like when I was younger, I'd be like, right, me and the lads would be like, right, we'll go to an all-you-can-eat for something, get a big calorie meal in. And where a couple of the lads had smashed loads of food in, and then like what Chudley was saying before when he did that food challenge, he could have later on. I would go out for one of these all-you-can-eat meals, and I would not be able to get my last meal in, and I would struggle to eat the next day, because my intestines and everything, they doesn't move and clear out. So again, I think it comes to what works better for one doesn't work better for the other, doesn't it? To a point. Next question, boys.
I've got a question, a very good one from Dan. Get it up.
Dan Bastic.
Yeah.
Very fantastic.
Right. I'd like to hear Hilly's thoughts on this question. I found success with a few clients running a 2-to-1 system of, say, 200 mg MPP, 100 mg of Tren Ace. Then lay a test-based family compounds. Then layer test-based family compounds. Primo as a cushion for E2 control. Example: 600 mg of test, 300 mg of EQ, 600 mg of Primo, 200 mg of MPP, 100 mg of Tren Ace. So that's what he's on about, as in the baseline. My reasoning was the 19 knows for different jobs. I believe every steroid has a different job. That's why it's being used. MPP for its anti-inflammatory benefits, Tren Ace for body comp and performance in the gym, EQ for fullness, smoother shots and appetite. Test goes without saying. Prima as a DHT to control E2 if needed.
I think that makes perfect sense in terms of using the drugs for different purposes. I like to do the same thing. The only thing personally for me when looking at using NPP and Tren is everybody I'd come across that's tried it, or a DECCA and Tren, has ended up suffering more with psychological benefits and sides. But I have never done it, I must admit, to that apparent low dose with all of the other drugs. The only other thing for me is, and this is a personal opinion, I like to run my cycles in sort of what I call a swing. So if someone's on a bit of the softer side and we want to move into a cycle, I like to use certain drugs to recomp, tidy up, and then move. So that might be test, Primo and Tren, or test EQ and Tren. And then I like to swing round from that and take out the MPP and bring in the Tren. Take out the Tren, bring in the MPP. And vice versa. If someone's in a great space for a growing cycle, say we're doing 20 weeks, I will use test EQ MPP, test mast MPP, whatever we want to use, and I will push the growth phase hard. I will then switch out the MPP at the end for Tren for the same benefits that he's got the Tren in there. And I find that I can have someone, and I've done this with yourself on the deck, I can have someone sit at the weight they're at week 16, finish the cycle at roughly the same weight, but in a better body composition. So for me, I am picking the drugs for the same reasoning. I'm just not doing it all at once because I like to design the cycle in that sort of swing, and that's purely my personal preference. I also think that sort of helps in terms of the cycle design, the motivation, the thought pattern behind it, and it always brings back to this. I like to take as little steps forward as little steps backwards as I can. So if someone's a little bit soft at the start, I can recomplement where I want them to be, transition into a growth phase, hopefully make sure they finish the growth phase in a respectable position, and then we don't really have to do much of any mini cutting, or vice versa. Whereas if I was going all in with all of the drugs, I wouldn't have anything to change I suppose I could change all of the ratios, but I think if you've been running MPP and Tren for 8, 10, 12, 14 weeks, in my experience, you're not going to then want to run another 6 or 8 weeks of those doses, manipulating them. So that's the only reason why I've never done something like that, is one, mainly for the psychological things people tend to get, but also just because of the way I like to lay out my years and cycles.
I think you have to be in a very good headspace to run them two compounds together.
Yeah, and I think in theory he's bang on. Like, I get what Dan's saying, but like, and it's great that he's got people that works with, but just in theory, yeah, multiple pathways, all targeted, each with specific reasons. In an ideal world or a fantasy down when people don't have side effects, that is the ultimate goal. You're hammering it from every angle, and ultimately, if there was no side effects, you scale it up to ridiculous doses until that person's 400 pound impaled. But it's very rare in my experience that people can tolerate MPP and Tren together. I don't know what it is. It seems to be the anxiety side of it. The MPP and Tren seems to drive that like uneasiness, unstable mentality. And I also noticed, I've done this with 2 clients, in way lower dosages, like a 50 mega Tren and say 200 of MPP. It seems to affect their like want to train. The negative impact on their mental health seems to say, I don't really want to get in the gym anymore. I feel a bit low. So it's kind of something I steer away from. But if in theory, if it works for him, awesome. Makes sense.
I wonder as well if, thinking towards that, so like something that I found on Professional Muscle years ago, some of the older guys were saying, they found that they can offset some of the sides people tend to get from DECCA by using Masteron. And now that is why I'm a huge fan of running Masteron with MPP, because I experienced the same thing. Several people I've run DECCA or MPP with, when we've added Masteron, they instantly feel better. Don't seem to get some of the side effects. So I do wonder if what Dan's saying there, if he's got all of those different compounds in, is there a potential, because there's no science behind that Masteron and DECCA at all. That's just what people found. I wonder if there is something that he has found, or is there a potential for some people that running all of those multiple compounds at certain ratios maybe balance shit out. Like, and this is the thing with drugs, is that there are pathways people don't understand that they haven't discovered yet. There are things that can work for everybody. You know, there is no reason why that can't work. And like Dex says, if that plays out and they feel good at it, you're potentially on a fucking golden ticket.
I think Dan's in a very lucky spot as well. Where, go on, Chuds.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't like the idea of using a drug to fix the side effects of another drug. Like, for me, right?
Yeah.
I don't get on with MPP. Period. So I won't touch fucking MPP, right? I won't go, well, maybe I will use Masteron to try and mask the side effect. No, I just won't touch MPP, right? So I'll just use EQ, you know? But if MPP is fine for your nandrolone, then that's fine, you know? I think, again, like, everyone's kind of personal on how you're going to get on with certain drugs. Like, I've tried, the amount of times I've tried MPP, high dose, low dose, with Masteron, with this, with that, it just doesn't get on. I just don't get on with it. So I just don't touch it, you know?
There is a study, I was just Googling it now. There is something with Masteron and its positive effects on mental well-being. It does something to the brain.
It creates what's the word for it, man? It acts a bit like a nootropic, bro.
Yes.
It gives you neurodrive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It makes you feel good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
a bit like people say antibodies.
I swear it was on like suicidal people. It was something they did like a test on suicidal people that had lower testosterone. They put master on and it had a real positive effect. It's somewhere anyway. I can't find it.
I don't know whether it's that Broderick or someone I've seen, maybe the Alex Kickel. He's one of those guys, or someone at their scientific clever level. I've seen them talk about using multiple drugs. Like that, like Dan's saying there.
That Alex Kickel's just started pissing me off. I swear he's like making case studies up now. He's like basketball player X, Y, and Z did this, and I did this to fix all this. It's like, where's the fucking proof, mate? Like, you can't just make basketball players up without any names or anything. It's fucking nuts.
He's doing it on an NFL game. Yeah, for the PlayStation.
You see, but I think Dan's in a very good spot where Dan's got a very good group of athletes.
Yeah,
who he could give fucking anything to. Them motherfuckers won't complain. They'll just be like, right, listen, this is going to make me 10 pounds heavier. This is what I'm going to do. And they're going to take it. Like Jordan Peters, they're just going to fucking do it.
And he talks about that a lot, and I really respect that. Like, Dan has a lot of integrity. Like, those people that he coaches, and he says it a lot, they are a representation of him. Like, they do mirror him. Like, the clients that are drawn towards him are those sort of people. So I have no doubt he does have those people, and if they do have negatives with it, they'll tolerate it to a degree as well. You know what I mean?
The other potential external thing there as well is I do believe a lot of Dan's clients are sort of younger guys. Now, is there something to the fact that they have less going on in their lives to have anxiety about, stressed about? You know, is that helping? You don't know, but I think there's a lot of support to be doing that. And like you say, if it on paper it makes sense. And me being a big fan of common sense, the common sense part to me would be like, yeah, lay out the drugs so you're getting the benefits of them all, as long as there's not negatives to outweigh that. Next question, right?
Is it me?
Yeah.
It's Chudley, isn't it?
Should you have a training? Oh, yeah. I think we've covered that now. Should you have different calories on training, non-training days? Short answer, yes. Next question. Thoughts on just hitting protein and calories on in the off season? No, I think that's a terrible idea.
Ridiculous.
If it fits your macros, is bullshit, bro. Fuck that, man.
It's not even
the only reason I don't.
They're just talking about protein and calories. I think you're just gonna get fat. Like, no. I mean, right? Look, I think if you're a lifestyle client, maybe, like, if you're just kind of like, you know, just want to look a little bit better, I think that might work. But I don't know. I still probably wouldn't.
Here's the thing.
I'm not into that. I'm not into that shit. If you do it properly.
Here's the thought pattern I've come up with, right? If you were just trying to lose body fat and you're not a heavily muscled individual, if you're a normal person, then if it fixes your macros or calorie counting works, that's a scientific fact. But I think if you were trying to hold on to maximal amount of muscle or even gain muscle in it while you're dieting, or if you were trying to maximize your performance, and if you were trying to optimize and maximize every aspect so you grow as much muscle or you perform as best as you can in any sport, if you were trying to be optimal, then that shit doesn't work. If you are a normal everyday bloke or woman and you're like, listen, I just want to get healthy, I just want to drop some fat, then picking the calories, making sure you hit them from good food will work. I don't think anybody can debate that. But I think for any of us and the usual types of people we work with and the people that listen to this podcast, that shit's just not good.
And the easiest way to summarize it, I think, so people understand it or to simplify it, is this. If you want to lose scale weight, do it if it fits your macros.
Yeah.
If you want to look better, it's not going to work because your body composition is not going to be the same if someone's getting those macros from shitty sources. And I always call it the domino effect, especially in the off season. Like, if you're following that process, this is what happens. The second you get a little bit full or it gets a little bit hard, you will opt to eat fast food. When you start eating fast food, it sounds like a good idea at that time. That affects the next meal, then the meal after that, and then the meal after that. And what you're basically doing then is just making up all your meals of shit food. They're easily digestible and calorie dense. And it's going to fuck your digestion up.
I'm going to play a clip. I'm going to play a clip on my phone, and it's going to prove that we're all wrong. Okay, 1 second.
If you show me drop protein, I'll smack you.
Structure your meals. Keep your protein.
Oh, mate.
Mate.
Good fats from real food. Hi. Keep your carbs.
The amount of fucking arguments I've had with this cunt on TikTok is absolutely fucking because you'll just make shit up, and I'm just like, mate, where are you coming up with that?
Mate, it's
I
the
watch
number.
his shit every night. It cracks
What did
me
he
up.
say about eggs? It was something like 80% of an egg turns to muscle. Where the fuck have you got that
Bro,
from, bud?
do you know what? Do you know what Eddie, bro? I actually think he's a very nice guy, yeah? But I think he needs to understand one thing, yeah? Everything that he achieved as a bodybuilder was achieved on insulin and carbohydrates. So now he's obviously promoting the keto lifestyle, but keto is actually 7 days onwards. He's saying he does keto, but he eats carbs pre and post. So he's not even doing keto.
If I ever...
He'll fucking respond to anything. Don't you fucking listen to him. You don't, you know... He's got
if I ever see him in a supermarket, I'll dash a tub of Ben and Jerry's at his head. If I see him talking about eggs in a supermarket, I'll chill him with a fucking tub of Ben and Jerry's.
Bro, the thing is, he was a very good fucking bodybuilder. Very, very good bodybuilder.
That encapsulates what we say. Like, genetics will carry you very far in this game if you have them. Mate,
he admits, he goes, I was using 50 plus 70 I use insulin daily, loads of carbs, and I was that big. So that shows what he did then worked. But now he's trying to say carbs are bad and this is bad. This is bad. I mean,
the views, right? So he is making content based on what gets views, and that's all you got to understand, right? He probably doesn't even follow half of that shit. But if he says these things and people give him the fucking attention, well, he's going to make more of that content. That's all it is.
You know, the young kids are doing it these days, aren't they? Like, you know the young kids, they do like the pump cover videos and they've got like no muscle. They do it because people like me nibble on it. Like, they do it because they know I'm going to comment and call them a retard or reshare it to make them look silly. But they do it because they get traction then and people watch it. They get all the views. It really fucking irritates me because I still bite.
Yeah.
Next question.
But I think, do you know what it is? Well, if you just forget some of Eddie's like dumbness, yeah, what he does say often, it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
No. Stick to your whole foods, stick to your basic
but
shit.
Nobody disagrees with that.
I agree with that. It's just when he goes off on a tangent. But it's so funny.
When he just pulls stats out of the air that are obviously not true. There's no literature to support it anywhere. It's fucking nuts.
But he gets better views, mate. Fucking hell.
That's what
question.
Huh?
From a guy called Jamarcy. He's got a sick whip as well. He's got a Datsun Z. He thinks he's American. It says, tips on setting clear goals for an effective off-season in strength, weight, and look. That's a good question, I think.
Thing is, it look at my physique and goes on phases, doesn't it? It's not like you can go, right, I'm in an 8-month off-season, go. It's not like that. It's kind of like, maybe like you get going and you're like, right, you hit a bit of a bump with digestion, so you got to pull back, and then you push back up, and you know it's kind of like, and not every off season is going to be the same, so you can't really like blueprint it in a way, right?
No, I think a good baseline to it is the main variable to track has to be performance. This is the big thing. I think we're all so fascinated with macros and drugs nowadays. Everyone kind of forgets it's the training that's going to build muscle. Like, it's literally people forget that. And I think, like you said, Juds, if you're getting to that point where you're pulling back, you fucked it. Simple as that. Because what you should be able to do, if it's right, and obviously we understand life happens and things aren't always going to go to plan and you can mess up here and there or whatever. But ultimately, if you pace it right, your main variable you're tracking is performance in the gym. You increase food along with that. So once your performance in the gym stalls, you then add food. As long as you're emptying the tank, and I know that's such a cliche saying, the goal in the off season, every session, is to empty the tank. You should feel like you can eat after that session every fucking day. If that's not happening, you've overshot the food. So I think if you can just pace it in that way and just use progressive overload as the metric, and you are emptying the tank, it's actually quite difficult to get fat as long as you have a bit of muscle.
I think in the off season, I think the thing that bothers me a lot is people get heavy and they stop moving. I think you need to keep moving. Like, normally, once I'm post show, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I ain't got to do no more cardio. It's a bit like Hilly right now. He's still doing half an hour cardio.
Yeah.
Martin removed my cardio. I was like, Martin, I want to do half an hour cardio, mate. And I've kept it in. I think just keeping in that. I think the whole off-season prep, it just needs to go. It just needs to be right. I'm going to build muscle. I'm going to cut down. It just needs to be like that. You're not overly thinking about it.
Yeah.
For me, off-season goal, like it's always just the same thing. You were trying to gain as much muscle as you can, as much improvement in performance as you can, while minimising fat gain to the best of your own personal abilities, and that is different for us all. And then once you get to a point like Dex says, once you hit either you're not seeing any training performance, you're not seeing the scale move, or your body composition all of a sudden starts to get worse and worse, then you know you either just need a bit of a reset week or a little bit of a pullback. And there's going to be so many different signs of whether, you feel beat up, you're getting ill quite a bit. Even though you're lean, even though your digestion's good, you might need just a bit of a rest. Your body composition just starts swaying more to what you're happy with. I think this is the big thing people make a mistake with. Where your body composition ends up is very different for us all.
Yes, I was going to say that.
And we all look very different. So for me, I am just a water baby. So I can look a lot softer than I am. Like if I can put 25 micrograms of clean in for a week or two, pull my carbs back and instantly look leaner. Just because I hold a lot of water. So sometimes you need to just do a little mini 7-day pullback to actually assess, are you actually too fat yet or not? And you've also got to get your head around that. For us at different stages of our development and muscle mass, we will need to go through stages of looking softer until we go through stages where we never really look too soft. But fat is very much individual. And the other thing is, it depends on where your comfort zones are. But I think it's anybody that's writing specific 8 weeks of this and 4 weeks of that has already fucked the job. Because exactly as Julie said at the very start, it is impossible to lay that shit out. I've seen me design 16-week cycles and we're going to do this, and based on the past, we'll do this. And people just keep getting better and better. And I've seen me multiple times say to people, we're not changing nothing, we rolling with this. I've got a client in Norway or somewhere, one European company there, could be. And I was like, right, we're going to use this 5 weeks to mini cut. But the first 2 or 3 weeks, he just kept getting a bit bigger and a bit leaner. And I was like, we're not changing food. And by week 5, the amount his body composition had changed, there was no need for a mini cut. So I was like, right, you've got another 3 weeks of this cruise and we go on again. And he was like, well, I know, but and I was like, hey, look how lean you are. There's absolutely zero need. Yeah. Your digestion's better. Your performance is still trending up slowly. And you've got drastically leaner at the same weight. You've just won the bodybuilding lottery. Away we go. So it has to be so much dictated, exactly like Chud said, and you said there, on what you see and what happens. Because the other thing is, personal shit can come up. You can have loads of stress. Your body composition can soften. And for some people, that can happen real quick, or something really bad can happen and whatnot, and it alters everything. So I think, for me, I've always got this overall goal of, if you're in a growth phase, you try to add as much muscle as possible where you need it or overall. And then you've just got to sort of manage that as best you can through the process.
And the whole visible abs thing is utter nonsense, because if you have to have visible abs, my off season will last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
like, it's not. That's not a thing that you should use. And another really good one with scale weight, which people focus on a lot, is you see a lot of the coaches nowadays will say, if weight stabilizes, add food. With my clients, I would wait to a food drop, a scale weight drop. So I would wait, and that doesn't mean one day. If it drops for one day, I would give it a week. So at that point, we know they have enough muscle to metabolize the food they're eating because scale weight's coming down. I think that's a far safer way to kind of prevent longevity in your off season, rather than just going, I didn't go up a pound today, I'm going to add more food. That's the fastest way to stall your off season. So I would just go down the route of, if your weight is say 250 on check-in day, the following week it's 250 again, I would then run it in again until that weight starts dropping, then add food.
But I think it also depends, how long is your goal for your off season? Yeah. Have you got your show planned in 8 months? So that way, I'm going to say to the guy, listen, mate, we've stalled. We're going to push the food up again. Yeah. But obviously, if I've got a longer time and more time to fuck about with, I might be like, yeah, let's just wait.
Yeah. Just to add to what you said there, is, do you know that funny thing there of, if your abs start to go, you're getting too fat. That was potentially, right, one of, if not my biggest downfall for years, because I was a fat kid. So if you were fat when you were younger, you have more fat cells. They don't disappear, they shrink. So if you were a fatter child or fatter in your youth, or you had more abdominal fat, when you start gaining weight, those fat cells will fill up before you create new fat cells. So for me, I can be really heavy, at my heaviest almost in an off season, all of my life. If I was in a vest and shorts, you'd presume I had abs.
Yeah.
But my abs would be the first to go. But because I didn't understand all of the geeky shit I've just reeled off, I was constantly pulling back because I had this in my head of, well, my abs have gone, I'm too fat, my abs have gone, and there was some other psychological things, but, and actually that was my biggest fuck up, because what I've learned over time is some people distribute fat very evenly because of the way they were when they were younger. Some people distribute it unevenly. And you really have to try and have an overall picture of, well, how actually is, because if I sent someone a picture of just my core, they'd be like, listen, kid, you're too fat. But if you actually looked at me front to back, you'd be like, you good to go.
Yeah.
But because I was so focused, like a lot of people are, on the midsection only, and there was this rule of thumb of, if you can't see your abs, you're too fat, I was pulling back way more than I should.
I've always thought that's a load of bollocks, here, because, listen, my abs go rapid, but I've got every single line in my leg.
Same.
Do you know what
Hey,
I mean?
my
Once my leg
never-
line goes,
Yeah.
Look at Ryan.
I think once my leg...
100 pounds and he's still got abs. Like, that's just genetics. Like, you know, or
Yeah.
another good example is Dan. Last year at peak off season, he's got like stupidly deep abs. And I said to him about that, and he goes, mate, I just used to train him like to fuck, just because I wanted to pull so much, like as much weight as I can. So just obviously core work. So there's just so much to it, you know. It isn't. You can't just judge it on one body part.
I think you need to judge it by your leanest body part. So once my lines go in my legs,
Yeah.
it's game over.
Yeah,
So that's what we in here have to do. Like my ass and hamstring, you love to get fat. So the whole off season, we were just all we were tracking was my ham. Ham's lines, they're still there.
Yeah.
The second they started to get blurry, like, let's pull back.
Yeah. Next question, boys.
Chuds, you.
What's all your current heights? Current, like with like that changes.
What? Current height. Riz is 4'3".
I'm
I'm
5'7".
I'm just under 5'11". People for some reason think I'm like over 6 foot for pictures. I have no fucking idea why.
You're not even that tall, bro. Shut up,
I
man.
know. People just say I am.
Well, mine did change. So I used to measure at like 5'10" and a half or 5'11", and then I slipped my 2 discs, and now I dropped a bit. So I hover right between. I only know this because I hover right between the Mr. 1 and Mr. 2. But I used to be like, I couldn't get under it. Whereas now, I could be Mr. 2 or Mr. 1. I'm right on the board.
Yeah.
I lost a centimetre.
I am the shortest in the two bros class B. But if I cut my hair, I'm in class A. That's why they put me in class A this time.
How
Yeah.
tall are you, Chuds?
6 foot.
Chuds is the
literally
tallest.
on the button. Yeah.
Chuds is a giant.
Oh,
What a
that's-
weird question.
What the
Next one. Yeah.
Number one, this guy is a fucking phenomenal bodybuilder, Billy Stella. If you want to go and have a look at his pictures,
I've
just
seen
cleaned up
it.
the
Yeah.
It's so good when you see not the biggest dude, but someone who's just a very fucking good bodybuilder. You know, everything's
Very,
in the
very
right
good
place,
bodybuilder.
round, bubbly, beats bigger dudes. He said, and this is a good. We actually discussed this, but I suppose we can pick up again. Thoughts on finals invites being handed to the 4th, 5th, 6th place at regionals and qualifiers in all federations.
Bullshit.
It's
What a beautiful physique, man.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
He's so complete, man. He's so complete.
I mean,
think
I tell you
this
what,
is what.
I was going to give a different perspective to, I would assume, you lot, because then so it's just a bit different, right? But I think it's fine. Why? Because the federation still needs to make money, right? And if you don't let those people in, then you're not really going to make money. If you're the top of the top, you shouldn't care anyway, because that doesn't affect you. So I just think makes it for a bigger, more competitive, not more competitive class, but a more interesting show, because there's nothing worse than turning up to a show and there's 2 people in the class. You know, even if half of those people aren't going to place, at least you've got like the entertainment factor of looking at 6 competitors. You know they're not going to place, but it's fine because it makes it more interesting, brings more people in.
I think people.
That person's going to bring their
People drop out too.
in their bird. So it makes it more interesting.
Kyle, what are you doing?
I think people drop out as well, and sometimes the guy who came third at the regional beats the guy who won the regional.
And this is what I was going to say. I think, Chuds, that was the angle and I get it from a business perspective, but I like the idea of this. There's 20 shows in a year, in a federation. Top 2 get final invites. That means the final, you're going to have 40 of the best people in that. Obviously, that's not going to happen. People will drop out, health implications, and so on. But ultimately, if the federation is good, they look after the athletes, they set it all up correctly, that British finals or universe or whatever you want to call it, Arnold's, you should ultimately have 40 of the best amateurs of that class in a single lineup. The reason you don't do that at the moment, I believe, is because of doing this, because they oversaturate it. You get some things, it's going to be loads of people there. I'm better than, I don't need to be standing next to number 6 in PCA. I'm going to go and do an NPC show and all this sort of stuff. But I do get it from a business perspective, but I do think it kind of saturates what the finals are supposed to be, which is the best of the best.
Yeah, but my issue as well is all the finals on the same fucking day.
At the uni, though, Riz, did we see one person that should not have been on that stage and that looked out of place? I don't think so.
No, I think you're right.
No, because I think most people who are shit, they've got the bollocks and they're covering to turn up anyway.
My issue is, and I suppose it's more apparent in the girls' classes than the males' classes from what I see, is if you were giving out handouts to 5th, 6th, 7th, we've seen at times, right? A lot of people just want, in this day and age with social media, just want to say they got to the finals, right? Or they've been to the finals, they've been to the Arnolds. That's all it is. And that stops people working harder to get better. Because if you were really into bodybuilding, if you were really into being the best, right, and it was only ever the top 3 that got an invite, for one, you're guaranteed to only have the best of the best at the finals. But then, in my opinion, for 2, is that for those that really want to be at the finals because they fucking love it and they want to compete against the best, when they come 4th, 5th, or 6th, they will have to go away. They will have to knuckle down and get better, and then they will have to compete again. And that means, particularly in bodybuilding when we see regionals that are quieter, but also in other categories, the regionals will then be at a higher level and the regionals will end up being more participated in, which then would be better for business because each of the regionals would have more athletes. Whereas now you get girls, and some males I suppose at times, but more in the girls, coming 5th, 6th and 7th at a regional, getting an invite, and then you've got loads of people that came 6th or 7th at the finals, and then you've got 30 or 40 or 50 people in these classes. And I don't think anybody wants to sit at the finals and watch that many people go on a fucking circle for a bikini class. I just don't.
I still think they should have a male final and they should have a bodybuilding final, and then the men's physique and all the 100 different classes on a different day, different location.
But I just
waste time.
And I just think bodybuilding, if you right, wheelchair bodybuilding,
you bastard,
you want that in.
Yeah, but I just think if you were really into this, being the best version of you, being the most competitive version of you, if you placed 5th or 6th or 4th and you didn't get it right, you'd be like, right, what's the feedback? When's the next regional? Let's get fucking better. And you would work harder than ever to be better. Not only then would you have earned and deserved your place at the finals, but it would mean all of the athletes at the finals were better. So you would have more competitive athletes at the regionals, more competitive athletes at the finals. And not only is that then still good for business, because the regionals are becoming busier, but that is improving the whole quality of bodybuilding across the board.
Not just for
because
PCA.
We do also.
That's just for PCA.
Yeah.
Well then,
when you
go over to Two Bros, though, if you go to Two Bros, right, you don't even have, you just got to turn up. And you're in for finals or so they kind of.
The issue with a lot of federations is, man, a lot of people actually can't afford to do the finals.
Well, I was just going to say the other problem with Two Bros there, judges, though, I think they're that expensive, right? They don't expect people to go and do regional after regional to be competitive, which is why you've only got to participate and go to the finals. I think that's why they do that. Whereas PCA have the luxury. They are much more affordable, which is why I'm a fan of the federation.
Agreed.
and then people will go to the finals. But again, that just comes back to what I'm saying. People will then do more regionals. The regionals will be even more exciting because you've got people going head for head. I just think it would bring so much if. And I generally don't think a sixth place deserves a fucking invite to the finals. I'm sorry, I just don't see that.
Especially if a lot of them have no, they have no business. They're not going to place. That's the bit that I don't like. Especially some of the girls, and I know this isn't just being misogynistic or any way, shape, or form, but some of these girls that are awarded have no business being there. They're not going to place. They're not going to be top three, and they're given the. It kind of removes the prestige of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and again,
I reckon it should only ever be top three. That's that push. Maybe to be honest, just top two. Really.
And again, I was not a fan of all shows going back to Euro Rock Tubos there. When they did the Arnolds, and it was like, as long as you just turned up to a show, you can do that. I even messaged Tubos themselves and was like, surely that's not right. But and their argument for the first time, and I get it, was, it's a newer show, it's just to get people there. But I think something that should have prestige to it, you should. And again, it goes back to what I've said multiple times with the PCA Universe. I think the only people from universes should have qualified at the finals. I think it was very unfair that someone won their regional, or they did very well at their regional. They went and then smashed the finals, and they got an invite to the universe. I can then go and do the show I did, place first, second, potentially third, and get an invite in a regional to the uni, and then stand next to someone that had to go through the correct process. Regional, finals, uni.
Yep.
But I've got to do a regional and go. It's not a universe then. A universe is the best in the country. If I've just been regional, it's not a fucking universe. I'm sorry, it's not.
But bro, the PCA universe is not like the NABA universe, is it?
It should be though. That was when it had prestige.
But it's not, bro. It's a different brand.
Yeah. It would develop the prestige if the pathway was followed right. If you knew you were going to the uni and the only people on that stage were the best from the finals of each country, that would earn my thought of prestige. For me, it can't have prestige when someone might have just picked a quiet qualifier in the middle of fucking nowhere 2 months before, and then they can jump on the uni stage. It's that, and that's where I think I understand about the business and I understand about the money. But I think if you want to build prestige like NABA had, the only way to do that is to make sure the caliber and from a competitor's mind of, I'm going to the universe, I wouldn't dare miss it. I worked my ass off to be at the finals. I've earned the honour and the right to be there, and everybody else that's going to be competing has earned the right and the honour of the rest. Instead of being like, well, hang on a minute, you only did a regional 2 weeks ago, there was no one there, but now you stood next to me.
That's all well and good, but that will never work. What do you see with the really good bodybuilders that go to these shows? They don't bring anyone. They turn up on their own, they step on stage, as soon as the show is done, they fuck off, right? The birds and they're those first-timer competitors, they bring their fucking, 10th fucking cousin and all that fucking bullshit, right? And that's what it comes down to. It's a fucking business, right? That's why NAB is a fucking dead federation and no one fucking goes there. Because they're all that fucking hardcore, but they ain't got the fucking...
See, the only thing I disagree with that, Chuds, is the other federations has sabotaged the prestige of NABA.
Yes.
It's the way they set it up has cannibalized that. But I do understand what you're saying, but I think what you almost create, and just to clarify, PCA is by far my favourite federation. Out of all of the ones that I've been to, I think they're fantastic. I love the atmosphere there. I love how engaged the judges are. It's a great day out. But I think that's what it's become. It's become a social occasion. Like, those first-timers are like a fucking nightclub. It's mental. It's gangs and gangs of peoples and families outside. They're all stood around getting cookies, fingering each other or doing whatever they're doing. And I think it's come away from what bodybuilding is, which is competing and showing all of your hard work. It's like a social event.
I still think, if all the federations truly loved bodybuilding, right,
They go.
and these... Yeah. If they truly loved bodybuilding, all of them, Fitex, all of these cunts, what they would do is they'd say, right, listen, everyone who wins the finals, you're all going to go against each other at one big final federation. We're going to have a combined federation.
Yeah, like boxing, a unification belt. That's what you should have.
And whoever wins that show, that fucking federation gets bragging rights for the next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think unification would be fucking awesome.
Because if you truly cared about the sport, that's what you would do.
The problem with that is, though, they all don't judge the same.
No.
Yeah.
So
But like
we
you
know.
said, NPC are the only sanctioned event. So and Two Bros are not NPC. I hate that people get this fucking mixed up. Two Bros are not NPC. Completely different. But I think you could have effectively that sanctioned set of judges, which are foreign to all of it, would sit down and do that, and you would have the British final or the British Universal, whatever you want to call it. And I think that would be a fucking sick concept.
Mate, that would be such a good show. Someone like JP's got to run that, bruv.
Yeah, imagine it though. It'd be so, like there's some seriously good bodybuilders in PCA, like, and we know they're loyal to PCA. Like, we know that they are PCA through and through. Like, like, imagine them going against.
I tell you what,
why have you got to be loyal? Why have you got to be loyal? Why have you got to be loyal, bruv? What to? Sometimes I shop at Asda, sometimes I go to Aldi's, bruv. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think that. I think they, and I get it. I think they enjoy the environment at those federations. Like you said, Riz, you loved Two Bros. Like, that's where you feel like you fit in. You loved the way it was, all that sort of stuff. And I get that. So you may be loyal to that because of the way the day went. Whereas others will enjoy PCA and be like, oh, I'm going to stick with this because it's kind of where I feel good. Like it.
See, I like both of them. The PCA is a better.
Say, take someone like Connor, for example. There's no money in the fucking world that you can pay him to go and compete in PCA. Because he's just like, what's the point? Like, because someone asked him, he's like, would you do a PCA show? And he's like, no, because I'm interested in the pro card. So, in the IB
but
pro
he did do a FitX show, didn't he?
Yeah, but that was
a FitX show.
Just like on the side. Yeah. Like, you'll never see him do a FitX show or anything like that. Because the guys that are like fully into the Two Bros, they're there to get the qualification and then go abroad or get their pro card. That's their ultimate goal. So you're never going to get someone like that to go into one of them shows.
That's why I respect Connor, because he's been around bread and butter bodybuilding his whole life. He knows the sketch. Do you know what I mean when it comes to bodybuilding and the NPC? Yeah.
But I think if you were to do it this way, in theory, NPC would be the parent of all the federations, wouldn't they? And ultimately, if you were to do that, you would get a pro card. Not Two Bros pro card. It would be an NPC pro card, which is a stepping stone to obviously Olympia, which every bodybuilding has aspirations for, and everybody should have the caliber of if they're winning all the finals. Does that make sense?
They were supposed to do a show, wasn't they, together, the PC and the Two Bros, about 3 years ago, but it all went fucked up, man. I'm sure at one of the NEC shows, it was supposed to be like a joint stage thing, but it never happened.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Should we move on?
One more question?
Yeah, go, chaps.
So I've got one. Basically, he's saying he's getting lumps from 1 mil mix of Testy and Masty for an insulin pin, mainly getting it in his lats and glutes and sometimes chest. Should I move to a green or blue needle? So he's asking, is the needle too short? I think it's the gear, in my opinion. I think it's just it changes.
It's common at the moment.
How fast are you pinning the gear? Are you pinning the gear slowly? Are you blasting the bastard in? Are you warming it up? Is it MCT? Is it grapeseed? So many factors.
Doesn't sound, for someone that might be getting it out of the tank, like just it's likely might be the gear. But I do know I've seen several clients get lumps, and it's just because they are a bit too fat to be using insulin pins, to be honest. And what people don't realise is, I've got a penny. When I do an insulin pin, right, I push so that it's like that.
Yeah, and me.
So, you know, and I think people get confused with when you do a normal jab, you leave a little bit of the metal showing or it's not pushing. Where I'm literally, if I say I'm doing an insulin pin here, I'm pushing it in like that.
Yeah, so I'm applying pressure with the plunger. Like my thumb is pushing that all the way through.
So I'm leaving an indent in that. See how that pushes through the fat there to get in deep enough. I don't think people realise they need to do that. Yeah. I think when they do it, they just go like a normal jab. Yeah. And then it's not going to be deep enough a lot of the time.
I also feel, though, when you're injecting it, it's in the fat, you know it. It's not comfortable. When you're pinning that and it's in the fat, you know that feeling. It's like it burns. It's not nice.
So, bro, I've got a client literally this week said to me, goes, Riz, my arm's dead. I pinned my shoulder. I goes, bro, how do you pin your gear? He goes, I just put it in. I just put it in really quick. I was like, bro, take your time. Take your fucking time. You just getting it, blasting it fucking in.
That's because he's not got enough scar tissue. Once you have, that fucking cunt ain't going in fast.
You ain't going that fast, mate.
I do all of my shots with slim pins now, every single one.
And me. I've done for the best part of a year now. I have no lumps, no pip. I can like pin a muscle, train it the same day. Like I have none of the
Same.
issues that I used to have. Like it's cool.
You got one more?
Yeah, I've got a question. I think it's a good question, but it's quite complex. It's more towards Hilly, and me, I suppose. Well, it's not. It's definitely towards Hilly, but it says, wait, part 1, part 2, part 3. Yeah. Right, it says, you've made some really impressive gains. Been following you for a while. Can Hilly talk us through what has worked in the past and what hasn't? Is this normal levels of progress? When you pick a client up, can you see their potential in the early on? Great show. Is there any chance we can see it on Spotify? Massive respect to each one of you on here. This is a fantastic podcast.
What a very nice person that is. Yeah.
Goodwin 66.
Yeah, appreciate the kind words for us all there, firstly.
Yeah.
To be honest, the real truth behind Deck's progress, in my opinion, is firstly the guy's ability to work. And that means that even when he's enjoying his social life, or when he's just had honey, Deck is one of the few people that I'm very lucky. I work with quite a few people like this, where every day, it doesn't matter, he is always getting his meals and nothing is missed. I would argue that is what is attributed to most of Deck's progress.
Yeah, I agree.
Rinse and repeat. And he is one of the ideal clients where there has never been, very much like I am with AJ, Hilly, I'm bored of that. Can I do this? Hilly, I can't. I tell you what, I could probably count on the I could count on maybe 2 hands in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
How many times Deck might have said can't? The word can't.
Yeah.
It's just, we need to do this, it gets done. And it's like, if I can't, I'm struggling with this, I can do this instead. If there is an issue, there is already a solution. And then I think that in my opinion is the main aspect. Nothing that I've done special as a coach.
Yeah, I agree.
That is the main aspect. I do then think a lot of it is the way I work and we work together. It is we work as a team. So Deck feeds back to me. I use the knowledge that he has. I use the experience and knowledge I have, and we work it together. He comes back to me with, Hilly, I've been reading about this. What's your thoughts on this? I'll either say, yeah, come on, we'll run with that, or this is why I don't think we should. And Deck's like, sound. And then the other thing is that we are both very similar in the sense of we enjoy bodybuilding. We enjoy fucking ourselves up in the gym. We appreciate the hard work and the suffering. And I think because we enjoy the same things, we work together, that on top of the fact that Deck just gets it done every day is what has attributed to the very impressive progress. Not any special training, because Deck has tried things with me, and he does his own training now. Not specific special drug protocols or super high doses. Yes, Dex took my advice on let's run with this. He's then fed back to me. We've then both come up with what we feel he feels best on, suits. So there isn't he did my style of training, he did my style of eating. Deck's progress, I feel, is very much about the fact that he ticks every boxes every day, no matter what. There's no bullshit excuses. There's no email this long with, well, I couldn't do this because of this, or I missed this because of this. None of that. We work as a team, like I try and do with all of my clients, and we gel together very well. And then he ticks his fucking boxes every day.
I think as well, like just add, because he said about potential, like I cannot stress this enough. I have no elite genetics. Like if I show you pictures before I went to the gym, I was never I was always quite strong, but I was never like muscular. I never had like a great physique and all that sort of stuff. But like, if anything, like if you just tick the boxes, like you'll have the same progress. I'm not like in any like percent of elite genetics where I will be one step ahead of you. Yes, I'm very autistic in the brain, so I don't like to change things, so it works very well with bodybuilding. But from a physical standpoint, he's probably got better genetics than me, this guy. Do you know what I mean? It's just get better at ticking boxes.
Yeah, I mean, when Deck posts pictures of before we start together, as we start together, I would have not. I didn't look at Deck's pictures then and think Deck's going to look like this now.
No. It was about 6 months in. Hilly sent me him to Deck, and he goes, "This lad's good, isn't it?"
Yeah,
This lad's going to be fucking mega.
And I think that was more because when we first started, Deck wasn't coming at me with, well, I've been watching this YouTube and I've been listening to this. He was like, Hilly, You just tell me, I'll go away and do it.
Go and do it. Yeah.
And that's the fucking same as it is now. Deck comes to me, he knows what he's doing. But if I say to Deck, listen, I want to do this, he's like, yeah, no problems. And then I'll let you know. And then we adapt it. And I think that is one of the major downfalls in most people now. It's either they don't tick the simple boxes, or they are listening to too many people on too many podcasts, on too many YouTubes. Like for me with AJ, there is loads of stuff that I've done with him that I would not do with myself, that I don't agree with. But I said to you lads, didn't I, when I started with him, and I said it to Jordan and other people, I'm giving AJ my hard-earned cash because I feel he will know some things that I don't. And I want to see what he knows that is better and what he knows that I don't agree with. So when he said last off season, he wants me eating almost 1 kilo of fucking beef a day, right? Which was hell. I did it. And lads, how long did I do that fucking beef and eggs for, right? I had people who I don't even know. I had my mates that are bodybuilding being like, Hilly, I used to eat. It was like 1 kilo on fucking rest days, 800 grams on training days, multiple whole eggs. But I did it. And that put me in a position. If I was way bigger than I thought this year, I could have attributed to that. Yeah. Whereas, coach, I learned that I could have learned something special, but I didn't, and that's fine.
Do you know what it is? What's the one thing that you've been for the past year? It's been consistent.
Consistent.
I think people need to realise Deck's been consistent day in, day out. Yeah. Same as everyone here. It's just consistency.
I've been coached by Hilly for like 3 years, I think. Last month was the first time I texted him this, and I can make this decision, but I want to chat with him. In the 3 years, last month was the first time I got halfway through a day and couldn't train. So I'd eaten my training day meals, and I was like, oh, fuck, I can't train. What should I do? It's been 3 years, and that's the first time that ever happened. I said, Hilly, this is the stupidest thing in the world, but this is the first time it's ever happened. I'm a bit perplexed. What do I fucking do?
And the key thing there was, though, he knew really what he could have done, but he still messaged me, and we did it together. Yeah. So I was well aware of what was going on. We worked on it together. And again, what Riz said there and what Deck said, the biggest, I had a guy who I've been friends with in America who's a very high-level coach over there, Cornelius Park, he's called, Con. He messaged me a couple of months ago and he was like, Hilly, we're the same age, our birthdays at the same time. Why are you making so much progress at the moment? And that is because I had my daughter. I had my daughter, or I was about to have my daughter, and my whole life has changed. Before, I was socialising with friends on the weekend. I was doing stuff during the week. Everybody knows I had a fantastic social life. Whereas now, I do what Deck does. I tick my boxes all of the time. And lo and behold, but I was okay with that before because I tore my pec. So after tearing my pec, I was like, I'll focus on my coaching, focus on other stuff. I'm not going to do that as well in bodybuilding as I had intended. So I'm not. And I asked if I want to go out with the lads on the weekend. I was still competing at the British finals and I was still doing all right in regionals. And I was on the session at least once a week, probably right the way through. Whereas this time, none of that should happen. None of it. And lo and behold, everybody can see I'm making more progress than normal. And people underestimate, really do, the power of just. There's no, like Nate Stiles said when he was on here, he's just eating his meals all of the time. Everybody's just eating their meals all of the time. They're going to the gym all of the time. It isn't about the right exercise. It isn't about a clever drug stack. It isn't about making sure you're putting your arm this way and your elbows tucked in. It's about eating your meals and training hard and resting when you should, day in, day out, and fucking enjoying the process.
Have fun.
It's as simple as that. And have fun.
Yeah.
I think we all agree on that. That brings us to an end point, doesn't it?